Hey, this is David Howard Thornton. You might know me as Art the Clown for the movie Terrifier, and this is Without Your Head.
Welcome to the station of Decapitation Without Your Head. I'm Nasty Neil.
That would make me Terrible Troy.
And we were joined by the director, I think, of a modern classic horror film. I really love it.
Yeah.
Terrifier, Damien Leone. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
There's a lot of killer clown movies the last 10 years or so, and I kind of enjoy them all. But Terrifier, I think, really stands out amongst them. Well, what is it about clowns?
Oh wow, I get asked that a lot. That's I try to pinpoint it. I think it comes down to a few things. I think they have this sort of otherworldly, unnatural. Their mannerisms are very freaky. I think a lot of times I think it comes down to the white face paint that people overlook, because I think there's something about white makeup on someone's face that is sort of synonymous with death. Like when we see it, that's probably not what we think about when we're looking at a clown, but deep down, when you take away that red pigment out of somebody's face, I mean, that's very horrifying. That's why the Exorcist makeup is so effective, I mean, it's very, very simple, but I think that's, obviously Exorcist was an inspiration to a degree. I mean, there's a lot of things, but I think that those are some of the reasons why clowns are really freaky.
Yeah, that's a nice contrast then when you have the blood spatter with the white.
Absolutely, right? The black and white. I like to start them off very clean and then gradually make them bloodier and bloodier as the movie goes on.
Yeah. How about just the mouth itself? It's got the very big gums and the teeth, and it's all black. And what was kind of the inspiration for that? It is very creepy.
I mean, he shouldn't have good hygiene. I don't imagine him 3 times a day or anything, he's nasty. I mean, his fingernails are all disgusting. I mean, I think the clown costume is the only thing he keeps in relatively good condition, before it gets covered in other people's blood and guts. It's just way more effective, I think, seeing that disgusting mouth. You know that whoever's behind the makeup, there's something off already before he starts to attack. Yeah, just by his mouth, just by his teeth, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, nothing good's coming out of that.
Yeah.
How about David? Yeah. How about David Thornton? Because someone else played Art beforehand, and what was about him that made him right for Art the Clown?
It's so crazy. We probably had 20 people maybe come in for the audition for Art the Clown. He's the only person that I remember at all. And yeah, I mean, he just he came first of all, that was the scariest aspect of making Terrifier 2, because the only thing that really works from All Hallows Eve and my short film and everything is Art the Clown, and Mike Gianelli, who played him first, did a fantastic job. So when he didn't want to act anymore, and I'm like, oh God, I got to start from scratch. And that's like the riskiest part, because, it's like, all right, now I got to fix something that's not broken. But, so we had the casting call, and then Dave came in and we asked him to, pantomime the act of sawing somebody's head off. It's like you meet him for 1 second, and that's like, do that. And, he just did it. So first of all, Dave just has this his physical characteristics are fantastic, because I always envisioned Art to be kind of, lanky and skinny and taller. Especially I really wanted a skinny face. Even when I sculpted the prosthetic, I sculpted it with the sunken in eyes and everything. So I wanted to kind of have this zombie look to it to a degree. So I knew that would help a lot more with the makeup. But then Dave did this fantastic this silent film type quality, just cutting off this head and licking the blood and pouring salt on it. All this stuff I did not ask him to do. He just kind of was unleashed. And it was great. We were laughing and giddy, and he left, and I looked at my producer Phil, and we were just like, I mean, that's going to be really hard to top. I think that's our guy. And he was only like the third person to come into the room, so we were like, oh, I think we found him. So that was really special.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen pictures of him on Facebook, without any makeup at all, and he definitely has like all the expression. You can tell he has great facial expressions,
super
without
animated.
the makeup or anything. Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's so animated, and he's a great actor, and he also does impressions, and he's a voiceover actor and does all these cartoon voices and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So he's really versatile. He's fantastic. But so yeah, I had to take away like one of his greatest attributes and have him not speak.
Troy and I were talking just beforehand here, and Troy really liked that he doesn't speak, and I was like, I think he doesn't even make any noise at all. Not even besides talking, just nothing.
Yeah, no noise at all. It was important that he doesn't speak or make any sounds whatsoever. I thought that would be really creepy and sort of add a little more to the right. Yeah, and sort of add a little more to the mystique. And yeah, people really like they point out when he gets stabbed and he doesn't make a sound. Like you see him like grimace in pain, but he doesn't make a sound. I've heard a lot of people compliment that. So I guess that was a good decision.
Yeah, and Jenna too is like the lead because it's important to have people you care about in a movie like this where there's a lot of killers. Otherwise, it's just about the kills, which is fun and everything, but it means a lot more if you like the characters.
I agree. I mean, there's a lot of people who think the movie really is just about the kills. I think that's sort of the way the movie's structured. It's sort of it's not typical that most slashers don't take place over the course of like 2 hours, like one night. So people kind of look at it differently. But I think especially Jenna's character is pretty well developed and likable, and you're rooting for her for sure. And I don't think I don't think you're expecting to see her get killed. I was clearly pulling a Janet Leigh.
No, I didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to mention it in case people who listen haven't seen, but yeah, that's a huge surprise when it comes in the movie.
Let the spoilers fly. The movie's already passed.
All right, fair enough. I like it. Plus, I like that all the kills. No one's easy to kill because sometimes in a movie, I mean, it's a movie and all, but someone will just get stabbed with in the neck or anything, and they instantly die. But everyone in this movie, they're hard to kill. It takes time, which I also think definitely adds to the movie.
Thank you. That was important going into it. That was a conscious decision because, like you just said, most slashers you just see the knife comes up, the knife goes down, and then it's over.
That's it.
Yep. And that's for most, a lot of fans. I mean, that's the scene you're waiting for. I mean, me as a diehard slasher fan, especially when I was younger, watching them, it was like you couldn't wait for the scene where Jason kills the victim, and then it's over in a split second, and then you got to spend another 15 minutes in the movie before he comes back.
Waiting around. Yep.
Right? So I wanted to drag them out, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's that easy to really kill somebody. I mean, I'm sure
I don't know. Yeah.
We just assumed that they'd fight back.
It takes a little longer.
Yeah. Well, speaking from experience.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of our strengths, though, going in was the special effects, because I'm a special effects artist and I did all the effects.
Wow, because that was just dynamite stuff. Great
thank
stuff.
you, man. I appreciate it. So we wanted to use that. We knew it was going to be beneficial, and since it was really low budget and we couldn't compete with the big boys, I was like, well, at least we have the effects, so let me just beef them up as much as possible, and definitely try and deliver in that area. And really, I wanted this to kind of be as if it was a modern American sort of giallo movie, where really like Suspiria, Dario Argento. I bring up the first kill in Suspiria, which is one of my favorites, and it just goes on, and keeps stabbing the woman, and then he hangs her. It's just, you don't really see that in American slashers. So I was trying to combine all these different elements and make something sort of fresh. I thought I was lucky at the end.
Yeah, it adds on a few different levels because like they go on, and it's cool to see and all stuff, but also you could also root for him a little more. Like, she gets stabbed and, but then she breaks away and then he captures her. So, it goes on. It's not just, as soon as he gets to her, it's over.
Yeah, one single thing, right?
Yeah, it's especially with Jenna's character, it's like the chase.
Yeah. It's just a lot of cat and mouse. I tried to make this as if it was the last 15 minutes of your typical slasher.
Right.
Where really it's really like the meat and potatoes and your killers of the star, and this is it. Yeah, this is the action part of the movie. But it's kind of an experiment. I don't know if it fully worked, but that's what I was going for.
Mm-hmm. And it worked for me. And
yeah, cool. Me too.
Some of my friends who I recommended it to, I told them it does remind you of like an 80s slasher movie without the cutaways from the kill scenes. They're much more brutal and they go on for a while.
Exactly, a totally uncensored version.
Yeah,
very important.
Uh-huh.
Which, by the way, we did have a lot of issues with when we were looking for distribution. There were a lot of companies who wanted to pick it up, but it was too violent, and not that they necessarily came out and said this needs to be cut, specifically, but they wanted to have the opportunity to cut things down if they picked it up, and I was dead set against that because I knew if you took any of that stuff out of the movie, it would not have the same impact whatsoever. Because that's the gore and the violence is a main character in the movie, in and of itself. So that had to absolutely stay intact.
Yeah, which is unusual, I think, because I didn't think that was necessarily a big concern anymore. But I know, like when the new Blood Feast came out this year, they wouldn't release it because they had to keep getting cut down and stuff. And I kind of thought like a lot of that was kind of like in the past, but I guess it's still a concern for people.
I don't know. They're definitely. I feel like they are more lenient with violence in some movies that people overlook. For instance, the Green Inferno, Eli Roth's Green Inferno. That's really. I actually like that movie a lot, and I thought that that one kill where they just cut off all the guy's limbs and cut his head off and eat his eyeballs. I mean that's an R. That got an R. That was in the theater. So that's pretty. You're not going to get much more graphic than that. I think the MPAA comes down more on sex than violence in movies. So, but there's definitely some things crossing the line. I don't know if the shot of the hacksaw going through the girl's ass in Terrifier would have been okay.
All right. Which, since spoilers, is an amazing scene of someone being cut in half lengthwise, and you see it. It's not like you see a glimpse of it, and then like they cut, and then she's cut in half. You see her getting cut in half, and the guts flying out. It's a tremendous scene.
And with the hacksaw, so it's taken a lot of work to do this. Like, I was kind of sympathetic. I'm like, wow, man, it's it's going to take all day to cut that woman in half.
I've heard people complain about how ridiculous it is about how fast he does that. And it's like, do you want me to stop the movie for an hour?
15 minutes. Hold on.
It's so hysterical, the things that people nitpick on, but I get it. But you gotta suspend disbelief, especially in a movie about a killer clown who has a hard time getting killed.
Exactly. So talk to us about that scene. Like, how long does it take to film him, cut the woman in half?
Well, we knew going into it that was definitely going to be the scene of the movie, the biggest set piece and the biggest effect. So really just me and my producer, Phil Falcone, were the only makeup artists. And he's not a makeup artist, but he wanted to learn as much as he could and assist me. So he let me use his house, and we just turned his house into a studio for like 3 months. And he helped me build everything for the movie. But that we took the most time on, and I think we built two full-size bodies, but they were only the front half of the full-size body. So if you went behind that body, it was just, you would see the foam and everything. Because since I do the special effects and everything, I know, and direct, I know how I'm going to shoot it. So I know what things I don't have to build or I do have to build based upon a specific shot. So I think we had 2 life-size bodies that Dave could cut in half, and then we had like maybe one half, like one torso, and then we had a backside shot for the hacksaw going through the butt. So I mean, that all took a really long time. We had to cast Catherine Corcoran's body from head to toe. That was insane because we wound up basically encasing her in silicone accidentally because I had a female assistant work with her, like prep her, because I needed people to help me because there was so much silicone that we had to mold her body with, and you only have such a small amount of working time. So gave her and the assistant it's a lubricant specifically for the gelatin. It's the silicone. It's basically like a Vaseline. So when she comes down ready for the body cast, there's just globs of Vaseline all over her. I'm like, that's way too much because we put the silicone on that. It's not going to set properly. It's not going to pick up, the detail in her pores and stuff like that. So I said, can you go and wipe some of that off? So she wiped off a little too much, I guess. So the silicone sort of grabbed all the little hairs on her arms and everything. And it took a really long, painful time to peel that off of her. So that was intense, and thought I was gonna lose her and a lot of silicone, but we got through it. So that was good. But on set, I think we shot that scene in 2 days. 1 day with Catherine hanging upside down, which was very intense, and we had to be super careful. That was dangerous. We could only hang her upside down for about. I think maybe the longest we tried to do it for like 30 seconds, but maybe she was up there for a minute whenever we were rolling. And then we had to quickly have PAs and crew members just rush in, pick her up and get her on top of this platform because the blood was just rushing to her head really quickly. So yeah, that was the first day. And then the second day was just all the inserts with the fake body. So it was crazy. It was intense. We spent so much time. I was really hoping it was gonna pay off because once you hack through those bodies, that's it. They're done. Can't build anymore.
So where did you film most of it? Because it really looks like really dungy places.
They really is disgusting places. We filmed in those are all real locations. We didn't build any sets other than for when we had to go back and do little insert shots, and then we couldn't get back into those locations. So we put up flats of like brick walls and stuff like that. That blend in pretty seamlessly with the movie, so you can't tell when we're cutting from set to location. But we shot primarily in an abandoned building in Trenton, New Jersey. That's where about 85% of it takes place, and then some other places in Staten Island and Long Island. All dingy, abandoned and just shoddy places that we made look like one place.
Yeah, well, it looks great on the movie. Did any problems arise from filming in places like that?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot. The place in Trenton was in a really, really bad neighborhood, and we shot all night shoots. So we started shooting at 7. We wrapped at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So 7 at night to like 5 in the morning. But I had to get there with David at like 4 to start making him up. So it was extremely long days. But, whenever we had to do the exteriors of the girls in the car or whatever happens outside, just really sketchy people walking by at 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning.
I can imagine.
Driving by, stopping and honking. And one night, right in the middle of we were just filming, and we had lights set up on big stands, impossible to miss. And some crackhead just staggers through our set and walks his face first into a light stand.
No.
Almost knocks the light over and just shakes it off and then just keeps walking, like doesn't look at us or anything like that. It was insane. And then you just go right back to shooting. The cops pulled up one night because I don't know. I don't remember exactly. I remember, I think Dave knows the real story, but I remember us firing the blank gun, the scene where he kills Jenna. And then they showed up because they heard the shots, and they were outside with guns drawn and everything like that. My producer had to like go out and tell him to shoot a movie, and he brought Dave out, and Dave came out dressed as a clown, and that freaked out the cops. It was pretty wild. And the whole time, everybody's having a good time and getting a laugh, and I'm like, we just got to shoot, guys. I mean, can we just get through? Can the cops leave and we get back in here, please?
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I know it's should mention Jenna's character gets killed, but she gets killed like it's very final. It's like that she's not coming back.
A few nails in the coffin.
How about the bathroom? Was that a real bathroom? That didn't look like a good place.
Real bathroom. Yeah, she would. In reality, she would have went in the street.
Yeah.
But her getting shot, I mean, that's a polarizing thing. A lot of people, or just Art having the gun.
That was the greatest thing, because like I had never seen that before. He's getting tagged with the board and just like, okay, yep, enough of that. Here's my gun. Boom.
Exactly right. I think it's cool that he's got a gun. I think guns are horrifying. Yeah, you're not expecting him to pull it out. I just love the image. I just picture like a comic book image of him holding that gun and just looking crazy. Yeah, there's just something about him having a gun that I like. But he definitely he uses it as a contingency plan or a backup. In case there's no way out. So he'll either well, you take him, he's going to take you out, or he's going to take himself out. You're never going to get him in custody or kill him or anything like that. So, but I thought it'd be a cool surprise, and I did that in All Hallows Eve. I did it in the short film Terrifier. He pulls out a gun out of nowhere. He shoots the guy in the head. So I just thought that's sort of a staple of his now.
Yeah, I like because it's like you said, it's no more playing around now. It's like she might get away or something. So just pulling the gun out at this point.
Exactly, and if you notice, he doesn't. Once he shoots her. Like there's a lot of times when he does something sadistic to somebody or he kills somebody, and then he sort of winks at the audience or laughs, or there's like a little joke afterwards, just to add a little bit of levity, so the movie's not so depressing and morbid, even though it is. But yeah, it could be worse. I think there's a little bit of fun to be had with the Art the Clown character. But if you notice, once he shoots her, we weren't trying to go for any laughs or have him wink at the audience or anything like that. It's all pretty serious because it's a serious moment, and you take it seriously when you're losing that character because it is a big deal and it's not funny, and the audience was rooting for her, and you want that to be especially disturbing. So that was another decision that we knew we were gonna do.
Yeah, it's a very strong. Yeah. I agree totally. And since this is the station of decapitation, I have to mention an amazing decapitation scene near the end of the movie.
Oh yeah,
thank you. That was a last second insert because we made the movie. I showed it to one of our executive producers, Adam Weber, who actually lives in Australia. I've never met him. He became an executive producer through the Indiegogo campaign, and he was just so cool and so just such a big fan of Art the Clown way before anybody knew about him.
That's awesome.
He just wanted to be a part of it so bad, and he would just throw us extra money if we needed it, whatever you could do to help out. And I showed him a really rough cut of the movie. And he liked it a lot. He was like, I think the movie could use one more kill. He's like, I'd be willing to throw up money for like an extra shoot day if you need to do it. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. If you could. And he desperately wanted a chainsaw death. And I said, I'm just not ready to put a chainsaw into Art the Clown's hands. That's just too much, just like infringing upon Leatherface. It's just not his thing. I can't give him a chainsaw, So, but I said, I really want to do a really graphic decapitation that just goes on forever. So he was like, all right, yeah, go for it. So we quickly wrote in that extra exterminator who pops up just to get his head chopped off.
Yeah.
But all right, it's part of the slasher trope. But yeah, I want it to be really, really graphic and take a long time, naturally, like a decapitation would.
Yeah, I love it because you expect it to cut away, but it never does. It shows you the whole thing, and like, hell yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's our thing. Don't cut away, or if you cut away, cut back.
Right. Yeah, I know there's something to be said for you don't show too much because you want to leave up to imagination, also. But there's sometimes you just want to see it all, and Terrifier definitely delivers there.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
There's something I try to do though, even though we show a lot more than typical slashers in terms of the violence. Like I love the way the violence is shown in Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. Because I'm like Tom Savini's my hero, that's one of my favorite Jasons. But just the way like the kills are graphic and cool, but they only show them for like a split second, and then they cut away, But so I wanted to not linger too long, but keep the kill going for a long time. So like I'll cut away. I won't linger on a graphic shot that long, but I'll cut away. But then I'll cut back, and I'll keep cutting back for a while. Like the first guy in the pizzeria keeps getting stabbed in the face and getting his hand chopped off, stabbed in the face, a bunch of times. If you look at the effects shots, like they don't last that long on screen, but that whole sequence lasts for like 2 minutes where he's getting killed. So it feels like you're watching it for a very long time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like all those scenes. Like I said, it instead of just someone instantly getting killed, because I think it brings more terror to it. Because if you just get stabbed and you're dead, yeah, it sucks, but you're not necessarily in a lot of pain. But these people, go through a lot before they die, which to me adds to it. It's like, wow, this is not a good thing to be going through.
No, it's not a good thing, and it's not fun. It gives the audience a chance to be actually disturbed, as opposed to just seeing something so fast and not really being able to react that emotionally to it. It's almost like they expect it. It's like, oh, there was the kill, it's there and it's gone. It's like you have to kind of experience it now. You're forced to watch it unfold. You don't know if I'm going to cut back to it, and of course, I keep cutting back.
Yeah, I think a really cool image too is the face jack-o'-lantern, the head jack-o'-lantern. I love that.
I like that too. Yeah.
Which one is that?
The head that's been turned into a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, in the pizza place too.
Yeah. He likes to have fun. Well, that's part of the. I try the Art the Clown, like his name Art, so I try and put a little something into every movie where he takes pride in how he mutilates people, and he does a little artistic. It adds a little artistic element. So the jack-o'-lantern was one thing in this movie, and the way he sort of tags a location, like he writes his name in shit after he destroys the bathroom. Yeah, little things like that.
There's a really well shot scene is through the peephole, both from her point of view looking through the peephole, and then seeing her with just the light coming through the peephole. I thought that was very well done.
Thank you, man. That was I believe we found that. I don't think that was in the script for her to be looking through a peephole. I think that was actually there in that closet, which was really, really in the place. Just walk in the place, you walk in all the rooms, and you see what each room has to offer. So I'm sure.
Also, it was serendipity right there. That's cool.
A lot of that.
Oh, cool. There used to be some pervert here who drilled the peephole. This is perfect. Well,
absolutely.
So, how about Dread Central? How were they to work with? Were they involved in the actual movie?
Fantastic. No, it's actually talk about serendipitous. I mean, so we had the movie going out to distribution companies, and like I said, whoever was interested wasn't feeling the violence, so we were very hesitant. And then eventually I just told my producer, I was like, let's do self-distribution. I think it's our best bet to just keep the movie intact and maintain the integrity. So we were really like 2 to 3 weeks away from launching a self-distribution campaign. I mean, we were gonna announce it publicly and everything. And out of nowhere, I'm like, well, what would help this self-distribution would be if we had some, because we had really nothing to go on. So I was like, maybe we can get some some quotes, some critics to review the movie, or some horror sites to look at it. So I remember I had Steve Barton of Dread Central, his contact information, because he was somehow, maybe he wrote a review or something for All Hallows Eve, but I had his email saved. So I just reached out to him on a whim, and I was like, would you mind watching this movie that I just made, and maybe you can review it for us and let me know what you think? And he was like, sure, man. And I feel like it was like 2 hours later. It could have been for the next day or whatever, but he called me right up afterwards, and he's like, dude, wait a minute. That was fantastic. He goes, did you sell that movie yet? And I'm like, no, we're about to do a self-distribution. He's like, don't do anything. He's like, I want that movie. He's like, people need to see that movie.
Oh, wow.
He's like, and then he told me how Dread Central just hooked up with Epic Pictures, and they were going to be their horror label, and they were trying to acquire horror titles. And it was really Steve Barton, I mean, hands down, who championed the distribution aspect of the movie and really pushed it to Epic Pictures to put it out. So, I mean, that's how it happened. It was pretty crazy, but I owe that to Steve for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. He really believed in it and loved the character and really thought there was something special.
Now, have you seen the movie with an audience? Have you done screenings?
A few times, maybe 4 times. And every time it's pretty electric. I mean, there's a lot of reactions. There's a lot of screams, shrieks. The craziest thing that I did not expect was how many laughs the movie gets. Art the Clown gets so many laughs, and obviously they're all intentional laughs. That I wanted to put a little more humor. Let me make this clear. I don't really. It's not my style to put humor into horror movies. I don't necessarily like funny horror movies. There's a select few that I absolutely adore. Like, Return of the Living Dead is one of my favorites, and Evil Dead 2. But they're more horror than comedy. There's just more, right?
Yeah.
So that's not my style. But since he's a clown, and I knew I was going to go so hardcore with the violence, that I didn't want the audience leaving just feeling so depressed and like, well, what was the point of watching that? Like, it wasn't even fun.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be a little fun, and I knew we can get fun out of Art's character because he is a clown. So we purposely put a little wink to the audience after most of the kills, if we could. So, and they really work. They always get a reaction when you see it with an audience. They always laugh at him. Yeah. So that was, we that was our intention, but it's still one thing. You don't expect it to work like that. When you hear people laugh, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the humor is not where it takes you out of the movie, and it's like. Now it's a comedy. It's pretty dark humor, so it's totally in vibe with the rest of the film, I think.
Well, that's a really important part of it, because I always try my best to make sure we don't cross that line, where I always got to bring him back and make sure that he's serious business and he's sadistic and evil, and it never becomes hokey or anything like that. Like I don't want to fall into Nightmare on Elm Street Part 6 when they're all the way, when it's just strictly, full blown comedic at that point where he's just a cartoon character. Yeah. Not that I'm comparing him to Freddy, but I mean that's ridiculous. But
no, it's all
But I just try and keep it serious and dark. I want people to be disturbed and scared more than I want them to have a good time.
Right. What you said about comedy horror, I always think the horror has to work in those movies for the movie to work. Because if it's too comedic, it's just kind of lame. But the movies you mentioned, and some like American Werewolf in London, I think, the comedy totally works in it, but it's still a great horror movie.
100%, because the horror. You don't laugh at the horror in those movies, especially American Werewolf in London. I mean, when that shit's scary. When Jack gets eaten in the beginning, that's still one of the most disturbing. Oh, yeah. Like Griffin Dunn's screams in that scene are just amazing, like horrifying. That scene is so phenomenal. Return of the Living Dead. You laugh at the character's hysteria over the situation because you feel like that's how I would react. I would be reduced to just like a bumbling idiot because the situation is so absurd and so horrifying. But the horror is real. When people get killed, you don't really laugh at them getting killed. So that's not that this is as funny as those movies, but we definitely didn't want it to fall into that. It's just more of a comedy area.
Yeah. When you're writing like a modern horror movie, I thought you dealt well with cell phones, because I think that can ruin a lot of movies. Like if you watch older movies, you're like, well, this couldn't happen today if someone had a cell phone. They would just call for help, and it'd be the end of the movie. So was it hard to incorporate, though, like the use of cell phones in the movie?
It's the hardest aspect of the movie by far. by far. Like how do you get rid of those cell phones? How do you whose battery runs out? Who loses their phone? It's so difficult to pull off, especially when you have a movie with this many characters who all have cell phones and they could all call the police at any second. It's actually really challenging to do it in a believable way. And that's going to be an issue. If we do another one, it's going to be an issue again, because that's what you have to deal with now if you're doing a modern horror movie, unless you just pretend they don't exist. You said it. Yeah. You said it back.
Yeah, back in time or something. Yeah. And it's always annoying if there's like a lot of scenes where someone's just talking on their cell phone for like for a long time. It's like, I don't want to see this. But it worked in this movie. You're taking the selfie, and stuff like that. It was stuff that you'd expect.
Yeah, if you could have fun with it, I thought the selfie thing would be relevant and one of those moments where you get a laugh out of art. And,
that's
but it's also disturbing at the same time. It's not just funny. He did just the most atrocious thing imaginable to this girl, and then he just jokes about it. So that's sick. That's twisted, and that's a perfect example of his sense of humor. So that was one of the first ideas I had, was we got to put something with cell phone, like make a relevant statement of cell phones in this movie. But yeah, it's definitely challenging. There's no doubt about it. So there's only so many.
And then even if you would stop and think about that for a minute, because like the last post she'd have on her Facebook or Twitter would be a picture with the guy that ends up killing her. That's pretty disturbing right there. Yeah,
exactly right. Yep. On the Instagram page, there it is, and all her friends can like it.
So he says right in the movie he's already got 8 likes. So will we see Art the Clown again?
Well, I'm writing the script of part 2 as we speak.
Sweet.
I have, I'm not writing it where I'm trying to figure it out. I have it all figured out. So now it's just a question of filling in gaps and making all the puzzle pieces connect, and basically just dialogue. But I have the whole story planned out. Very excited for it. Very excited. I think it's gonna be way better than the first one, honestly.
And you've set the bar pretty high too, so that's awesome.
I appreciate it. The hardest thing I think is going to be topping the hacksaw scene, just in content, not necessarily in execution. The effects could always be better, but and just more disgusting and stuff. But just the creativity of it. So that I think that's the biggest challenge. Not that it's just about one kill. There's plenty of kills in the movie, and they're all going to be just as disturbing and drawn out as they are in the first one. Everything that I know worked in part 1 is going to be in part 2 for sure. But the story will be broader. It'll be more conventional in that sense, more of a typical slasher outline, as opposed to it all taking place in one location over the course of like 3 hours in one night. But yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm gonna do my best to deliver the goods once more.
Are you planning to bring David back for Art?
Oh, there's no question. There's no question. Dave, me and him text all the time, and gives me ideas, and we we throw ideas back and forth and see how would that be? Would Art do this? What do you think of this? And all the time. So we're already having a blast with it. So we already pretty much, I know Art's character at this point. Like I know what's too far. I know what's just right for him, or what's just like right on the cusp and things like that. There's a lot of cool things. There's some funny things. There's some really disturbing things. There's one scene that I'm playing with that's so could be so wrong. I might not shoot it because of it might come down on it so hard, but I feel like I gotta put it in the movie. So we'll see.
Now I'm intrigued.
And since you said let's no, you don't want to spoil. Since you said we could spoil Terrifier, since it's out there. So the end of the movie. So the end of the movie, Art shoots himself. Now, is Art the Clown like? Is he supernatural, or since he's a clown, is that like? Was that like a fake gunshot?
No. He. This I could tell you for sure. I already told this to someone else in an interview. He definitely kills himself, and one thing, and he definitely comes back. So he's 100% supernatural by the end of Terrifier. For me, that was my intention. I wasn't trying to make that ambiguous. So if it is, then that was my fault as a filmmaker. But
it really isn't, because that you even see his brains hanging out the back of his head when he comes back. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but this is what I told the other interviewer. I said, what I didn't tell you in the movie, and that I'll tell her, and I'll tell you guys right now, is that he did not expect to come back, which is a pretty big spoiler. I probably shouldn't have said that, but I said it anyway. So that was the first time that he was ever officially killed, and he was expecting to just take himself out like that, and that would have been the ultimate gag and the ultimate sort of fuck you to everybody, and his life is meaningless. And and it was sort of the this is where it kind of gets too much into reality, but there's just so much murder, suicide by gun that actually happens in reality. So that I was trying to, just because that's relevant, I try and put little bits of things in society that are relevant, but not hammer it over your head. But I just know that they're going to strike an emotional chord with the audience. So that was, and that was just another thing that I've never seen a slasher do before, is kill himself. Like typical
that's true. Thing. You're right.
Right. Yeah. So again, trying to do things that are a little different outside the box, where I'm playing with such typicals, just stereotypical tropes that you've seen a million times, which I love, and those are the things I grew up watching. So that's what I want to make, but you can't make the exact same thing you've already seen. So how it's just how can I kind of turn them on their head and make something a little fresh. So that's what it is. You're trying to come up with things that are just, at the end of the day, it's very familiar but fresh.
And will that be something, not to spoil too much of the second movie, but is that something that you explore in the second movie, more of the supernatural side, Art?
100%. Yep. But not, how do I explain this? Not to the extent where it's going to become a completely different movie. It's still going to be, I'm trying my best. It's like what I did with, from the transition from the short to the feature. I tried my best to take everything that worked, that people really liked, the consensus that everybody liked, and definitely put that in, and not steer too far away from that, because then you're just going into uncharted, dangerous territory where you can really set yourself up for massive failure, So I'm really going to try and keep it as close to the first Terrifier in terms of his character and the kills and just everything that people like, the retro feel, all that, but introduce these new elements and things that just broaden the scope of the film, and just add more depth and more substance to the story, more backstory to Art the Clown, but not spell everything out and not turn it into a completely different movie.
Something that maybe people don't look too much at, but I always like is a good font, and the Terrifier, text looks awesome. Did you have any hand in that?
No, I found that. I contacted the people who made it and were selling it, and I said, "This is perfect for this is exactly the kind of font that I wanted." It was just so pleasing to the eye, exactly what I like. I'm not sure what the name of the font is. I mean, it's one of those fonts where anybody could buy it, can purchase the rights to use it. But that was it. I mean, that's just finding it and just loving it.
I kind of meant more on that, like, did you pick it out? Not necessarily make it, but did you, you found it? Hey, this, because it's a thing some people might not think about, but I see fonts sometimes on something and like, it can actually take away, because that's the first thing you notice, is the poster art, the name and stuff. There's not VHS stores that go in, but still there's a lot of movies online and stuff. And, if the poster looks cool, whatever, you're more likely, to watch it.
Oh, that's so important. Because I edit the movie as well. So I put so much thought and love into every aspect of it. And even just the way the title cards appear on the screen, I make them the way sort of Martin Scorsese does a lot in his older movies. Like he'll have the font, he'll have the title cards appear to the beat of the music or the song that's playing in the opening and things like that. There's just, even like, he puts so much love into the construction of the title sequence where nothing goes to waste. It's like he's in charge of everything. And I feel like the titles are so important to a movie when they pop up, or the effect that they have. You can have so much fun with them. So that was one of the most fun sequences to cut, him getting ready. So intercutting him gearing up with the titles flashing on the screen to the music was fun.
Yeah. So what's the feedback been like? Because there's been a lot of buzz about the movie, and it seems like, word of mouth, and it seems like a lot of people are really enjoying it.
It really does, man. I'm so grateful. It seems like it's gaining a lot more momentum. I'm primarily on Instagram, so I gauge everything that I see on there. Okay. And like almost, I check the Terrifier and Art the Clown hashtags and see what's going on. And every day, or whenever I get to check it, there's more and more pictures popping up and artwork by fans. There's so much artwork, custom artwork. People are building dolls and everything. I can't even keep track of it anymore. So he's definitely he's made an impression, that's for sure. So now I'm just trying not to. People are getting tattoos. I found like 20 tattoos.
Oh wow!
Wow!
Yeah. So now I'm worried. Now I'm really like, I don't want to let those people down. It's like, can you at least see everything I do with the fucking town before you put a fucking tattoo on your body? What if I make Terrifier 3 and you absolutely hate the direction I'm going?
I'm getting this removed.
But I mean, Dave and we're so beyond honored and grateful, and so I mean, we're just trying to. Honestly, right now we're really focusing on the sequel and making a fantastic follow up that's way better, and we just don't want to disappoint people. That's where we are right now, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, I assume you grew up a horror movie fan.
Huge. Whole life. Yep.
So what were the movies that inspired you? Like, this is what I want to do for a living. I want to make movies.
Oh man. Well, I was named after The Omen. That's for real.
Very cool. So your mom, your parents were into horror movies.
My mother. Yeah, my mother named me after The Omen. She actually went into a video store when she was pregnant and asked to see the box of The Omen if they had it, to see exactly how it was spelled, because some people spell it with an A-N or an O-N. She had it spelled with an E-N. So yeah, my mom's a horror fan, so she's really just a movie fan. My mom just had great taste in movies. So it wasn't just horror movies, but like the first things I remember, and I'm talking from from 2 to 3 and onward. You know, is so Jaws was always there. But Beastmaster, Red Sonja, Commando, Rambo: First Blood Part 2. Then she took me to see the Lost Boys in the movie theaters when I was 3 or 4.
Nice.
I saw RoboCop in the theaters when I was 4 years old. The Fly. So she just showed me. She let me watch whatever, and I just lived in this mom and pop video store in our neighborhood. That was like walking distance from our house, and she would just pretty much let me rent whatever I wanted. Which is fantastic. I don't know if I advise that, but she let me watch whatever I want. So I loved horror movies, and I knew from a very young age that I was named after a horror movie. So it was just part of my upbringing. Yeah. But to really get back to your question as to what made me want to get into filmmaking. So obviously I just loved horror. It was in my blood. But when I saw the Tom Savini VHS Screen Greats, which I don't know if you're familiar with, but it was.
I don't know if I have.
No, I don't think I have either.
No? Okay. But you know who Tom Savini is?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We even had his book years ago.
Yeah. Troy's my older brother. He bought me the book when I was a little kid, the makeup book.
There you go. Grand Illusions, right.
Yeah.
So basically, the previews during the VHS of Friday the 13th, Part 6, it showed the preview to Scream Greats, which was an hour documentary on Tom Savini, and it showed him making the monsters. So I saw that, and then my local video store had that VHS. So I would rent that and watch it all the time, and it just blew my mind. And that's when I was introduced to special effects makeup, and I saw how they created the monsters. Totally fascinated me. And so I was watching that at a very young age. But when I was about 12, I really wanted to start to experiment with the stuff he was doing. So I bought like my first starter makeup kit and a bottle of fake blood. And I would just start messing around, putting cuts and bruises on my friends and shit, and sending them home to their parents. And we would ring the bell, and we would all act. We were all in on it, and we'd tell them that. Rob we were playing football, and he slipped, and his cheek hit the license plate on the car, and I put this nice gash on their cheek, and I saw my friend Rob's father just flip out on him, like he almost beat him because of how pissed he was. He was have to take him. Like he just got home from work, and he was like, "Nah, I got to take you to the fucking emergency room." He's like, "Shit." And I got such a rush from that, and I was like, "Oh, all right, so this works." And then I just kept, experimenting more and more. And then my friend Danny's father lent us his camcorder, and we would film the effects. And then I started filming little movies, and before you know it, I just got enthralled by the whole process. And then I just really fell in love with the filmmaking aspect as a whole. And that's what really got me into it. So I really got to thank Savini and Scream Greats. So that's really what got me into filmmaking.
Yeah. It's hard to beat Tom Savini effects.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I use so many classic Savini gags in this movie with just blood pumps, bleeding weapons, and things like that. Yeah. They're so simple, and they work every time. every time. They're so cool. They're like magic tricks.
Do you have a favorite movie that Savini worked on?
Oh, but for sure. Not that I'm saying this is his greatest effects work, but my favorite Savini movie is Dawn of the Dead. I mean, that's one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
I think it's the best. It's the best zombie movie, I think.
By far. Never going to be topped. Never going to be topped. I'm sorry. Even if you have, superior makeup and whatnot, it's just that movie is perfect. Yep. And it's just one of the most generous horror movies ever when it comes to special effects. There's a special effect every fucking 5 minutes in that movie. It's unbelievable. You can't believe how many intricate headshots you're seeing. Just zombies getting taken out and people getting torn open. It's endless. That movie is a masterpiece.
I agree.
But I mean, his best work might be Day of the Dead. Him and
yeah, the
crew.
zombie stuff is amazing, and especially like when the guy gets ripped in half at the end, he's like choke on it. So yeah, it's awesome.
Exactly.
Love the stuff in Creep Show too.
Yeah, Creep Show's probably my favorite. Creep and Dawn of the Dead, either one of the two.
Yep. Yeah, Creep Show is one of my favorites by far. By far, that's definitely the greatest anthology movie ever made, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
And I always say it's a show, but it was the first VHS tape that my mom bought me when I was a little kid, and they weren't cheap back then in the 80s. So I still have it.
$40, right?
$50. Probably, yeah.
Did it have the clamshell case and stuff?
I still have it here with the clamshell. I'll be honest, the VHS worn out and it broke, but I still have it because I love this.
Oh my god, what a freaking prized possession that is, man! Not for nothing. That's amazing.
Kind of like what you said. Our mom, totally a big horror movie fan, and I remember she had to sign a thing at the local video store so I could rent anything I wanted. In the same way, I'd rent all these crazy horror movies.
See, that's an awesome mom. That's That's fantastic. And you know what's crazy? I'm sorry, you go. What were you gonna say?
I was just saying, I actually watched Terrifier for the first time with our mom.
No way.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
Did she like it, Neil?
Yeah, she loved it.
Oh, good.
She loves any kind of clown stuff, but this one really stood out.
Wow. Well, I have a funny story for you about my mother watching Terrifier. So I showed her when I was cutting it. She saw like a clip or two, but nothing crazy. When it came out on demand, she watched it on her own. And then like the night it came out, she watched it at like 10 o'clock at night. And then she called me up around midnight. And she was very proud of me, saying all these great stuff, the great things.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then she gets quiet. and then she goes, but Dame, she's like, I gotta be honest. She's like, I'm watching this, and for the first time in my life, she goes, I wondered, is there something wrong with my son? but she was dead serious. And I was so offended. I felt so not offended. Offended is the wrong word. I was ashamed. I felt like because this was the person who introduced me to horror, and I'm just trying to make her proud of me and thinking like, oh, look at all this crazy stuff I'm doing, and all these movies you showed me like Maniac and stuff. And I'm like, now I'm doing it too. And she was. She had to stop for a second and be like, "Is everything okay? Did I lose him at some point?
Where have I gone wrong?"
Yeah, exactly.
My child that I named Damien after the Antichrist.
I'm blaming her for everything.
Speaking of a great movie posters, you mentioned Maniac. That's still one of my favorite posters ever. It's so like it's so nasty. It's so dirty, and it's
awesome. It's got that great sleazy quality.
Yeah, it's a little ball in his pants, and like, man, this rules.
Rules, and that was very controversial when they put that on a billboard when the movie came out. It was on the news, and they did all pieces on it about how misogynistic it is and everything, and it shouldn't be in a public place like that. And I wanted to do that. When this was before the movie got picked up, and I was talking to my producer about if we did self-distribution and we had to advertise the movie. There's a billboard where we live going from Staten Island to Manhattan. There's billboards all over the place, like billboard space. And I said, how cool would it be if we put, I don't know if you guys saw like the alternate version poster of Terrifier. It looks like, I pretty much designed it after the style of the Maniac poster.
That's like great.
Yeah, so it's total retro oil painting of there's like a girl hanging upside down. It's basically the hacksaw scene. So I have like an attractive blonde hanging upside down, with him holding the hacksaw. It's very, it's just outrageous. So I was like, imagine putting that on the on the BQE and people seeing that as they drive by and wondering what the hell that is. Well, that would have been the coolest thing ever. We would have been on the news.
I just looked it up. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I do like the current one too, I have to say. But yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Thank you. All right, cool. Well, on the Blu-ray, they did a cool. Epic did this awesome reverse sleeve, so you could choose whichever cover you want. So one has nice. The awesome retro poster. So
very cool.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I rented on demand. I have to get the Blu-ray so I can see all the specials.
I wish we filmed a lot more things, but it's just one of those things when you're working on a movie with a low budget and you're just really focusing on the movie and you only have a finite amount of crew members and everything.
Sure.
Where you really can't get that much behind the scenes shit, unfortunately. But we got like a nice 20-minute behind the scenes featurette. There's some cool stuff on it. I did an awesome interview with Jenna where she talks about what it was like to work on the movie. And
nice.
We got a time lapse of me doing the makeup on Dave. Commentary with me and Dave, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we tried.
I'm a big fan of commentary tracks. So yeah, I love commentary tracks. Mm-hmm.
I love them.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to the commentary on Bad Lieutenant? Not Bad Lieutenant. King of New York. Abel Ferrara's King of New York.
No, I haven't, but I'm sure it'd be awesome.
It's by far the greatest commentary ever. Ever. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with that movie. That's a badass Christopher Walken movie. Yeah, but
I definitely am.
Abel Ferrara is just like the craziest New York filmmaker. He's so cool. He's so real. And it's a fantastic. I can listen to him talk forever. It's amazing.
Yeah. I know he's amazing. On the Driller Killer one, that's put out by Arrow, I think. Yeah, and Driller Killer, I'm not going to say I'm the biggest fan of the movie, but I don't dislike it, but the commentary and all the interviews with him totally make it worth just getting the Blu-ray just for that. Mm-hmm.
He's amazing. He's so cool. He's such a character. But those are the movies that I grew up with. That's why I kind of have that grimy. There's a grimy aspect to Terrifier, and that's really from movies like Driller Killer and Basket Case that I was watching.
I love Basket Case.
That's one of my favorite.
Basket Case was my favorite.
Favorite movies of all time.
I agree.
So those are the movies I grew up. Wow.
There's something about all those movies from that era that are from New York that just have this, that I have that grittiness, and even if they're not necessarily a horror movie like Taxi Driver or anything, they all have that feel to them. They're just there's something special about them.
Mm-hmm.
Something special and something very dirty about them. Where you feel
exactly.
100%. So that's another one of my Taxi Driver is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh yeah, mine too. That has a great commentary track too. I think it's got a couple commentary tracks on it, but they're great.
I mean, that's one of the things where people, they ask me about horror movies and they think I just live in this cave or all I do is watch shit. Right. I just watch Driller Killer 24 hours a day. And nothing could be farther from the truth. I watch especially I feel like most horror movies are just movie lovers. If you really talk to a horror movie fan, they're pretty well versed in all movies.
Oh yeah, you see that.
But they just have a special affinity for horror. But I'm the same way. I'm a movie buff through and through, all decades, all genres. But so I take little pieces. There's just things from all movies that little homages and stuff like that from all different kinds of movies, and I put them together, and you would never think something from this movie mixed with something from that movie would work. No one would know I took something from Basket Case and mixed it with something from I can't think of it. You know what I mean? But they would never know.
Yeah.
It's all there in a blender. It just comes out.
Yeah. I just a quick plug for him, Kevin Van Hentendrick from the Basket Case series. He does stone carving now. And I think it's coming up in August or July. For a week every year, he does a free seminar, and you can go and learn the ancient art of stone carving with Kevin Van Hentendrick.
I know he does. I actually got to work with him on a horror movie, on a low budget horror movie.
Oh, did you? He's such a good guy. Such a good guy.
Yeah.
He's, first of all, It might as well have been Jack Nicholson standing next to me. That's how starstruck I was next to him because of how much how many times I watched Basket Case from the time I was 5 years old to working with him at 23, and like there he is. That's not somebody you ever imagine seeing in real life. You don't think that's a real person,
right?
Yeah, so he's still got the big like pompadour thing going on and stuff. Yeah. It's awesome.
It was unbelievable. So there I am, just watching him fucking act, and I'm like, "That's Dwayne Bradley." I'm like, "This is fucking here we go." But yeah, he was such a nice guy, and yeah, he actually handed me a flyer or of his carving. He's like fantastic stone carving.
Oh yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, I went to it a few times. And I was carving in Frankenstein's monster on a big rock. It's still up there.
No way.
It's not quite finished, but yeah, I've been learning it's pretty cool to go up there. And no one there knows him from the movies. They just think he's like the town, stone carver. So
it's stone mason.
Yeah.
That's insane. Meanwhile, he's in one of the greatest midnight movies of all time.
Yeah. Did you ever see Bloodsucking Freaks? That's another one of my favorites.
I haven't.
Oh,
it's got that New York vibe.
You should seek it out. It's a Joel Reed movie, Bloodsucking Freaks. Late 70s in the New York era. It's definitely amazing.
Heard about it my whole life. I just one of those. There's a few of those gems.
I didn't get to see it just a few years ago, so I was late coming to the movie.
Yeah, I think just when we talked to Joel Reed, I think that was when we first watched it.
Yeah, well, what happened was the former host on the show, she recommended it, and I watched it. I was like, oh my god, this movie! So then I, sought out Joel Reed and got him on the show because it was so great.
Wait, now Joel Reed is the director, writer.
He's the director. Yeah. I think most of the cast have passed away. I think a lot of them right after the movie was made.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that a late 60s or early 70s movie, or it's
it's 70s. I think late
76, 77 maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
You know who else I haven't really. I've only seen clips is like Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Oh man.
I've only seen clips of his movies, but I never saw one throughout.
He's another guy that has great commentary. Because I like his horror movies, but he also does like these female biker movies, which isn't really what I'm into. But they're fun to watch just to listen to him talk about them. And if you listen to him talk in the commentary, no matter what the movie is, you think this guy just made Gone with the Wind or something. The way he talks about it.
Oh yeah, he sells everything. That was what was so great, and he's so articulate. You just whenever he'd speak, you'd just be fascinated.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's what's so fucking cool about the Abel Ferrara King New York one. Like he's just so hung up on the shots. Like he's like the whole time he's just like look at that fuck. But he's like look at that fucking shot. He goes, you know how hard it is to get that shot. He's like you got to be up at 3:00 in the morning. You got 15 minutes to get this fucking shot. It's so cool. Like he's so amazing, so amazing. But yeah, some people just have that. Some directors just have that gifted gab, like Tarantino. You could listen to him 24 hours a day to talk about movies. It's amazing.
Yeah,
so cool.
Well, we have to call Jenna here. So, but we'd love to have you back sometime if you'd be up for it.
Oh yeah, I thought we were all going to be on at the same time.
Yeah, well, you could stay on if you want for a couple minutes, and we'll call her if you want. It's up to you.
Do you want me to? I don't care.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Totally up to you guys. I really, if you'd rather just have your time with her, that's fine.
How can they find Terrifier?
So you can get the physical DVD special edition DVD Blu-ray on Epic Pictures website. It's on most platforms at this point. Redbox, Google Play, iTunes, Amazon Prime. It's on a bunch of things. It's not that hard to find. Just Google Terrifier. You'll find it. I'm primarily on. Yeah, I'm primarily on my Instagram, which is Damien at Damien_Leone.
All right, we'll just take a real short break, and we'll be back here in a second with Damien will be on with Jenna Cannell will be on very, very shortly. All right, we're back.
Hey, this is Jenna Cannell from Terrifier, and this is Without Your Head.